All right, Spokane Mike here, working on a 1986 Mazda RX-7 FC rear brake caliper. Tech notes, I'm gonna say right here, when you go to take this off, just break the nut loose at the cable point and take the mount off for the emergency brake. There's more to come on the emergency brake later. Love this design. And on the other side, the kit, you have two brass washers and a locator. This is pretty easy to just slap in there. So the next thing I want to note is that once I did get it apart, to remove this, you need a spanner wrench. And I will say right now, the spanner wrench from a Harbor Freight 4-inch grinder is what I used, because that's what I had. I don't know why I don't have a great set of spanner wrenches. Not something you'd use all that often. And the more I tighten it up, it will not go tight, which leads me to believe that right in this, see how this has the two pins that go down, sit down on the bottom of that. The piston itself goes over the top of that. These threads are so aggressive, you should know fairly quick if you got that right or wrong, and I got it wrong. So I'm going to take it back apart right now, but you know, if you don't have a spanner wrench, go buy a 4-inch die grinder at Harbor Freight. They're $22 or something on their coupons, and now you got a spanner that'll work for this. Okay, just a couple quick turns with my spanner, my Harbor Freight grinder spanner tool. Here comes the piston back out again. Let me explain to you what I'm looking at. Now this is just oil. This thing is very in good quality shape. These threads, it just threads right up on in there. Down in this part of the unit, this is where we're going to be looking at the part that goes in underneath of the snap ring pliers. Okay, this is what happened to me. When I went down to get a set of snap ring pliers, I have a set here at the shop that I've had for many years, channel locks. You can't get them down in anything, and that's what ends up happening. These will do inside outside. They give you the extra tips that bend and curve. I ended up going down, you know, again, I bought these at Harbor Freight on a coupon sale, $59. I got all the red ones. Did not get these. I think these are on their freebie ones. Pink, yeah, great. Anyway, these are the ones that'll work for what I'm doing, and they have the exact same size inside and outside. When they say they give you 8 pliers or whatever, they give you 4 sizes is the right way to say that, if you know what I'm saying. You get these ones are curved, straight, you know, inside, straight outside, blah blah blah. There's inside and outside of 4 sizes, but that's what it's going to take to do this, because to get down in this, it's tight. And when I was a young man, I think I probably could have done that with screwdrivers, or a pick of some kind, or you know, punch. If you're strong enough, you can do that, but you run the risk of scratching up the cylinder wall. In this case, I don't think it's that big. It would be a huge deal, although I did run a little bit of sandpaper and emery around in mine, just for fear that I did exactly that back in one of these areas. You might be able to see it, but the truth is, the sealing is right there on that very outside lip to this, and everything else should be riding in a bath of brake fluid. Okay, so here I am. I'm going to pull that snap ring out of there and see if I can get that lower plate to align with the pin, so that when I tighten up the piston, it will actually come to some form of tension, because that's what I don't have. Okay, stand by. Wow, like I've been doing this a minute, and it's a good thing I disassembled this, because I am not a young man anymore, and I'm really jealous of people with good eyes. But to be honest with you, I didn't get the snap ring in the right spot to begin with. Okay, so if something goes, it just doesn't quite feel right, or this or that. And I should mention that too, on this lip, I was trying to pull this ring out of there. If you look at the way that the factory diagram is, you might think that that ring is removable. No, it's not. That snap ring holds your dust seal up against that. That's part of the casting, okay? The next spot is where you drop your piston ring into, which seems weird dropping it into an external cavity, but that is actually your sealing point, and from there on the rest of it should come together. So I'm going to fix this right now. Here's your reference. Oh man, my fellow FC fans, win. Figured it out. I did screw up. This is what you're looking at down in there. If you look at that little rod, I want you to think about that if you had a camshaft engine as your push rod. The other side of that is your emergency brake, okay? What is so frappin' cool about this to me is that if everything else hydraulically was to fail, your emergency brake from your lever in the middle there by your shift lever is the exact pressure point to your brake disc pads as your hydraulic system. And I think that's wonderful. To me, that reminds me of like airplane kind of stuff, right? A lot of times on the new cars, it's a much smaller brake pad inside of a rotor or something like that, and not correct. So in other words, I'm going back together here. When you do go back together, in the very bottom of this is a needle bearing cage, okay? All you do is take your spring off of this unit, which is super easy. Release one end of the spring, boop, take that off. The whole shaft will come out. You press in a new seal right behind it with a 24 millimeter tool. You can see that ring back there that's shiny. Pry your old one out with a screwdriver. Press the new one in with a 24 on the outside of it, being gentle, with a hammer. And then before you put it back together, I did mess this up a little bit too. Put your shaft back in with this new seal and put your spring tension on. That holds that all in place. Then you're gonna go in here and that has to be facing straight up because the back side of that goes into your, I don't know what you would call this, maybe a plunger is not right. Piston rod is, I guess, would be right. You replace this seal, it comes in the Atkins kit. And then as I was saying, I was tightening it up and I couldn't get tension. Well, that shouldn't be right, because these two locating pins down in the bottom of this casting, held in place by a properly installed snap ring with a proper depth tool that you can get in there with. That's the dust cover seal. Don't get stressed about this. Is all easy stuff. You just got to take your time, and if you screw it up like me, stop, go back, do it again, okay? So what we're looking at, easy, no problem. You can do this. I'm happy to help anyone through it. Okay, here's a tech tip where I just got reinstalled the piston rod back in on top of the unit with the locating pins in order to hold this from twisting when I turn the piston back onto its rod. I'm going to repeat this, okay, just because everybody always just shows it to you going together once on the pro shows, and I don't have any editing. I don't even have video editor. I just pause as we go. Okay, see that pin is straight up. That is a camshaft to the emergency brake. We're going to call that a push rod. To the piston connecting rod, see the locating pins for the plate. Okay, we drop the plate down in right to the pin to its spot where it will not turn and is happy. Right there, which is vertical. Makes total sense. A lot of times castings are drilled where everything makes sense. Now you push that straight down to get on top of the camshaft. And if you do it just right, now remember, disc brakes, it has a brand new seal in it, but it will push back. A disc brake movement is very, very, very minimal. Now, if it does this, your locating pins are in the right spot, you are in the correct spot to reinstall the snap ring. All right, team, looking down in here, I'm afraid to repeat my same mistakes, which I did for so many, decades or whatever in life, but looking at that, it's wrong. I maybe got, the correct bottom ring in the right spot, but if you look in there and it looks like that, see the ends are curled in, they're not in the right ring, they're not in the right spot, you're not in the right spot. I'm gonna set all the stuff down and go again. Okay, team, I want to show you this because you would look in here, most people would look in here and think that that is correct. The tips are in, the snap ring is in its groove. Okay, on this car, let me show you this. It will not retain itself in the ring to tighten the piston to the rod because you are not in the second ring down, okay? Okay, third time's the charm, here we go. Okay, team, now can you see down in there? Can you see what's going on? I got the ring down into the second spot below. Okay, you can actually see another ring in there if you look really closely. See how this looks now? Okay, now this will not come out of there. The movement is still very small, and it is, but it is also retained. Okay, now we're ready for reassembly. I will relube that up, and we're gonna put this car back together, eh? Right on. Figured it out. Well, it is a Harbor Freight grinder spanner, but the end of that just pushes on a brake pad that gets to about 1,000,000 degrees. And then we'll set the next snap ring down in there with our snap ring pliers. Again, it's a piston and a tight fit. We just go slow, but I have a feeling it's going to end up just snug down in there. But that's how you do it. I relubed up the piston, cleaned it again, and just take her easy. I hope I've explained this well enough. With the Atkins kit, they've got a lot of parts. They're in my home state. Shout out Atkins, WA, yeah baby. This is going to be our dust cover, piston seal, dust cover retaining ring, the actual piston to the back that I was showing you to the cam thing is this O-ring right here, and the press-in one that you put in with your 24mm socket is inset it that way. It's just like that. When you're pulling it out, you just take the other end of a flat tip screwdriver on this side, give her a whack with a hammer. If I missed that on the video, I'll do it again. Here's the press inside. Again, do a very good job of cleaning that, making sure that sleeve is out of there. It's easy for that to be in there and not see it. Whack it out with a screwdriver on the tab. Take the new one, a little bit of grease, press it in with a hammer. When I say press, I mean gently.